Hi, my name is Stanley Laird with Arroyo Investigations, and I am going to give you a brief tutorial on how to become a California licensed private investigator. Basically going to explain the steps that I followed and the way I did it, and it worked for me, and I'm sure it can work for you. So first thing you need to do is you need to make sure if you're qualified, because if you're not qualified there's no use of going any further. So you can go to the BSIS, that's Bureau of Security and Investigative Service, main page. And then you go to Licenses, Private Investigators. Should be the second one down, How to Obtain a License. Okay, this is the top part will explain the amount of experience and or education that you need. I'm not going to go into detail, I'll just let you read it. Basically you want to go down and make sure you are qualified, and you're going to have somebody on your application that's going to verify that this is true. So you have to have an ex-supervisor or current supervisor that will vouch for that and sign their name saying that you have this much experience. If you don't, then you're just going to have to get some more training, maybe experience working for a private investigator company or something to get enough time and training to qualify. But assuming you are qualified, then my recommendation first is just to make sure you can pass the test, and that's you need to find some type of course to study to prepare you for this test, because it's a 150 question test and it's probably like nothing you've ever seen, whether you've been in security or law enforcement. It's just a really weird test, so there's a lot to it, so you definitely have to study for this. You can't just go into it saying I've been a cop for 30 years so I should be able to pass it no problem. It's just not the same at all. It's totally different. So what I found is a good prep test is with the California Association of Licensed Investigators. Let me get this up. So it's called CALI, California Association of Licensed Investigators. They have a course. If you go news and notices, I found it here. Online PI exam prep course. Now this it does cost for non-Cali members $249, but to me it's well worth it. It's put together by licensed private investigators who have passed the test, who have been doing the job for years. So these guys know what they're doing. And so with that said though, however, I believe the actual test, there's like 5 different tests. So let's say you go in one day and take the test, next day your friend goes in with the same, thinking he's going to get, it's not the same test, it'll be a different test, that way you can't cheat. And what I like about this course is every time I would take the Cali prep course, like take the final test, the 150 questions, it gives you like 5 different versions too, so it's very realistic to what the actual test is like. And so what I did is I studied, there's little quizzes at the end of each chapter. I made sure I knew that content very well, and then when I got to the end and the 150 multiple choice question, I just kept taking that test until I could get 100% every time, because it's a little bit redundant, but once you've done it a few times you can kind of get through it. It's a 2-hour test, but you can get through it in like 20 minutes because you've done, you know most of the answers. And so the reason I did that is because you really, even though it is prepared very well, they always change it. The BSIS always changes it, so you're never going to know for sure what's going to be on the real test. So if you can get 100% on the practice test, then you're pretty confident you can get, out of 150 questions, you got to get at least 70%, which means you can miss 45. If you get 105 correct, you can still pass the test. So if you can get 100% on the practice test, then pretty confident you'll at least pass, and it doesn't get, it's just a pass or fail. It doesn't tell you what grade you got, but that's my advice. And I would also advise you to maybe do some other reading too, a few other practice tests or something, get a book, and just study for 6 months or whatever. Make sure you can pass this. If you're a quicker study, that's great, but to me, I just this course, $249, it's only good for a year, so it gives you online access for 1 year. That's all the time you need. Probably less than that. But so just start studying first of all, and then once you're starting to get through, part way or halfway or all the way through this study course, then you want to go ahead and put your application in at some point, whatever, it's up to you, because it's going to take like 3 or 4 months for that application to go through. But Definitely start studying first, I would recommend. That's what I did, and then by the time I put in my application, I was ready. Whenever they called me, I was ready to go. So you know, you're sure you're qualified, you've read over the qualifications, you studied the PI prep course. Now go ahead and do the application. That includes a live scan form, so I'm going to show you that. Let's see, we want to go back into BSIS. Licenses, private investigators, and the first one is your application. And my suggestion, again, take your time with the training. Make sure you got that down. Take your time with this application. What's going to happen is any mistakes you make is going to slow it down. We're dealing with a state government anyway, and it takes forever. Any mistake you make is going to just take that much longer. So I was able to complete it, and I didn't make any mistakes, and so I did good. And the way I did that is I just read everything on this, and I did it, and I proofread it, looked it over, come back the next day, looked it over again, made sure I had everything written. I signed my name and dated it where I needed to do that. Just make sure everything's done, because you don't want to give these people an excuse to slow down, go any slower than they already do. So, but on this form, it has a link to the live scan form, which you also have to do. And I'll go ahead and click on it. You can just pull it up. Everything's easy to get to. Go to private investigator, either with the firearm or without. You'll pull the live scan form up. You'll fill this out. Fill all of it out, because there's different copies for different people. And then what happens is you'll go down to I went to a UPS store, I believe. Anyone that has a live scan operator, they can do your fingerprints and complete this for you. And then you'll submit this with your application as well. So that's your live scan form, and you'll have to that's part of your application. And so let's try and get back into your application again. So when you fill, you just start, read everything thoroughly, and then start filling it out. This will be your first choice of your proposed business name. You're going to have 5 choices. I put the first choice here, my home address, whatever your business address is going to be, and you are also the qualified manager. It gets a little confusing, but most people like me, you're going to get your PI license and be your own business, basically. So you're going to be the owner, the qualified manager, the PI, you're everything. So there could be situations where you might just work for a company, but they're not qualified managers, so you got to be a qualified manager. So you would split it up like that. But on this one, you're going to be the owner, the everything. So on this, I also put my name, and again, I had no problems with mine when I filled it out. So apparently, I did everything right. They didn't call me. Nothing got delayed. So I'm giving you the advice that helped me get through the process. Most of it's just common sense, but just fill it all out. Then down here, list name of each owner. So I'm the owner again, so I put my name there. And then once I printed it out, you got to remember to sign the date where you need to sign and date it. And I went out here again, your first choice of business name. Since I am the everything for this company, I put both of these, private investigator company, and so I'm basically the owner and the qualified manager. And then again, I put my name over here, name of qualified manager, and then I had to put my name down here again. See, it's kind of redundant but you are everything. So if you were 2 different people, then you might have a qualified manager up here and then a different name, But you're everything. So you put it, and then I put my residence address again. Answer all these questions. Just make sure you do everything the way it is. This little box, I checked owner and qualified manager. I'm running my own company. Put your employment experience. And this is where you can put your 5 names. You got, again, you're the qualified manager, that's you, your address, whatever your business is at. Put your 5 names here, starting with your first pick, the one that you put on the other places, and then work down. I got lucky on this. I never did find the site. I guess you have to do that on your own, but there is where you can look up to see if the name is already being used, because what happens here is if you pick 5 names and they're all common and they've been used already, and there's a lot of PIs in California, it's going to delay the process again. So try to check on that. I'm sorry I don't have that information available today, but I just got lucky and I used 5 of my addresses that the names of the streets, and then Arroyo was one of them, and so that I got that passed, Arroyo passed. So I got lucky, but try to look it up and see if you can find a list of what, check it or whatever. But that's really important, because if you do, or just come up with something so original, nobody's gonna, try to find something really original that nobody's gonna use, because it'll just delay you if you don't. And then down here, again, you'll just be signing that. And I did look up my actual application that I filled out, and so I know what I'm telling you got me through it. Now, who knows, it might change by the time you get there, but I don't think so. I think, but down here's your declarant. This is where you're going to have a supervisor or somebody that can declare that you do have the experience required for this. And I was lucky. I had a friend of mine that has worked in law enforcement with me for 30 years, and he was my acting supervisor at the time, and he was able to verify just off my current job that I met the qualifications. I actually have what I found was somebody that said this is the way, you got to word it the right way or they're not going to take it. So if you just say I was a police officer, blah blah blah, ain't going to work. You got to put it the right way to show that you have investigative experience. So here, I had 8 years on this one job. Now I have 30 years in the business, but we just use this one job because this is the last one my friend worked with me, and then we worked at different agencies for a while, and we had worked together in the past. But anyway, so I had enough on this, so I put 16,000 accumulated hours of working, and that was just based on how many years I had been, 8 years or whatever. And again, you got to meet these hours that they require. And I put full time, and then percentage of time investigating, I put 30%. I don't remember exactly how I figured it out, but I had 16,000 hours and then 30%. So you have to have, again, that's where you have to be able to prove you weren't just doing one kind of work. You're actually doing investigative work 30% of the time. So that came up, out of 16,000 hours, that came up to, was it 6,000 hours, I think it was on the application, that you got to have investigative. But I'm going to show you this, the way I wrote it up. And this was based, I found somebody that they swore this was the way to do it. And I changed the name, of course. I'm not a Mayberry PD, but this worked for me, and this was just for one job. Now you might have 2 jobs you have to do this at, but just the wording, just give you an example. I'm going to try to enlarge this so hopefully you can see that well, and then write it down. But this is the exact verbiage that I used, and it got mine passed. 16,000 hours total, 30% of investigative work. And I just worded like this, and this was the verbiage I got from this one gentleman who advised to do it that way. Conduct investigations, perform surveillance, make arrests, conduct interviews, write reports, and testify in court proceedings. Apparently he felt that was important to have in there, so I wanted to pass that information on to you. And I say it worked for me, anyway, so you've got your application done, you did your live scan forms, you did it, hopefully, like I say, you get everything right, and use that verbiage that I just explained to you. And then after about 3 or 4 months, right about when you think they lost your paperwork, they're probably going to call you to take the test. And so you'll go, at this point you should be confident that you pass a practice test at 100% every time you take it. You should be confident, you'll know you're going to be able to pass this test. So you're going to go take the test, and they're going to tell you pass or fail. They don't give you a score, they just say pass or fail, and you'll know that day. Then short time thereafter, they're going to contact you. What you have to show the BSIS that you have a fictitious business name registered with the county, and you've put it in a local newspaper, and you have a certain amount of time to do that. I can't remember the exact date, but you want to do it right away. So I'm going to show you something that helped me. It's you can go through the county, get an application probably offline, go down, register with the county, and then you can contact the newspaper and do it yourself. But what I found was a company online, dbastore.com. For a nominal fee, they will do it for you. I can't remember the fee, and I'm not going to get into it, but it's up to you. You can contact the county online. I did the first part myself, and then I found this store, and I had them do the newspaper for me. But basically, they also, it's a weird way they do it. You gotta file with the county, and then you gotta they send proof of service to the county that it was put in a newspaper and all that. So if you use this store, they're going to do everything right for you. And you actually get a form when you're done. You can show that for your business bank account and to the BSIS to prove that you followed the steps that you're supposed to. And then so that's basically it. You do that on your own. Can't really tell you how to do it because I use the DBA store, do a Business S store, but that's the way I did it, and it was much easier for me. And then you're going to probably have a business. You're going to want a business bank account because you want to keep your money separate. So you have to have a business tax ID. Just go onto the IRS website and you can find that business tax ID, and it generates one for you. So you'll have a business tax ID generated for you. And then you, for your bank account, you'll also need proof that you served your fictitious business name. There's going to be a form that you have for that, so you can send that to your bank to open your business bank account under your new business name. Then you also have to get a business license through your city or county, wherever you live. I paid $76, but it goes up depending on how much money you make. So since I'm not ready to really start my business till I retire in 4 or 5 years, I haven't done much work. So it was just 76. My renewal just came up and it was 76. But I think if you make 30, 40, 50,000 a year, it's not that much higher. But if you make a whole bunch of money, of course, it just goes higher and higher. But they have a scale they go by, in my city at least. I don't know how they do it everywhere else, but that's pretty much it. And then, well, what happened? The PI identification card became law after I had taken my test. I might have been able to get that the day I took my test and passed it, because you do it at that store, the PSI testing site. So I just had to make an appointment. I went down and paid $6 and I got my photo ID. But now you might be able to just do it the same day. Once you know you passed the test, you could probably do it the same day, and then you don't have to make a second trip back. But that's pretty much it in a nutshell. These are the steps that I follow to become a California licensed private investigator, and I'm sure if you follow my advice, you can do it as well. I'm going to show you this verbiage again, just so if we're filling out the application, hopefully you can see it well. I'll even see if I can make it real big. Yeah, it's a little bit bigger, nice and bold. So I'm going to hold that up for a minute. You can always pause the video and then write that down, but that is the actual verbiage that worked for me. So just wanted to share that with you. Okay, that's pretty much everything. So just good luck, and I know if you follow these steps and work diligently and make sure you can pass that the PI prep course with 100% before you go and take the real test, because the real test is a little bit different. Not every question is going to be on it. There's just no way you can do that. They keep changing it, and you know it's just something it's hard to keep up on. So you're going to have to make sure you overstudy to make sure you can, when you go in, you're going to have some questions that are new to you, and you're just going to have to do the best you can on them. But I guarantee you're going to be able to get 70% on it if you study to 100% on the practice test. Okay, thanks a lot, and I appreciate you watching this course. And I'm going to stop this training as soon as I can figure out how. Okay, thanks a lot. Thanks again, and good luck in your endeavor. Thanks.